Welcome to the Slade Ham experiment, everybody. Buckle up. Check your safety belts. Make sure your harness is pulled tight against your body. We're adrift in galactic space tonight. I'm taping on Halloween night. I don't know what's happening out there exactly. I know it's a blustery, cold Halloween night. It's also my grandmother's birthday. Rest in peace, Katie Curry. That's an awesome day to have a birthday. Anyway, it's cold outside. I'm not used to this. I'm down here in humble little southeast Texas. Do you know that? You know where I'm at? I'm in Houston, if you're unaware. I'm sure you know where Houston is. I assume you know where Houston is. I might be making a huge assumption here. I don't know. Thinking about it, I do wonder how much of the country knows where places are located. I take it for granted from driving and traveling as much as I have for a living, but could you find, very curious, could you find Chicago on a map if you had to? Could you find Nashville? Could you find Minneapolis? You probably get close. That would be my guess. Can you do it? Can you do it in Canada? Do you know where Toronto is? Where Vancouver is? Where all those little cities on the eastern seaboard are? I imagine those places are just frozen year round. That whatever's happening out here is pretty much nothing. I used to travel. I could draw a map of this whole country. Come to think about it. What was my first road gig? We talked road gigs on here. The first time I ever went on the road, I'm going to get sidetracked. I want to talk about how cold it is. But I remember that. I didn't know where anything was. And this was back in the day when you still had to steer by map. I had to it was an easy one. I took a gig. I think that was my first road gig. Had to have been. It was in 2000. C.W. Kendall booked it. It was a booker who I was writing about some of this stuff, like prose. But I remember. So this was 2000. I was in the green room at Comedy Showcase. Michael Reed was headlining, and I remember C.W. Kendall was a guy who booked a bunch of just terrible one-nighters. And I mean, you would have like one night in Arkansas, and then the next night in Florida, and then the next night in like Rhode Island or something, and then back to It would be these crazy tours. You would just drive 12 hours in between gigs, and you'd do it for like $100, but it was work. And they would just have the tiniest rooms. I mean, if there was a city with 4 people in it, C.W. Kendall figured it out. Anyway, we're sitting in the green room. Michael Reed's in there, and Michael's dead now. Everyone I know, I think, is dead in comedy. C.W. Kendall's dead. Michael Reed's dead. Anyway, I think there was a news story is what I remember. Somebody walked in, because this is back in this pre-internet. You got to remember. Somebody comes walking in the green room with a newspaper, the premise machine. Did you guys see that they might have found life on the moon? It was one of those fossils or some, not fossils, but like they brought back some sand. It was probably contaminated. They thought they found something, whatever. It was nothing. Here they might have found life on the moon. And Michael Reed goes, how long before C.W. Kendall opens a room there? And we all laughed because he probably would have connected it to Arkansas. That first road gig, I took a string of one-nighters. It was 2 one-nighters. It was a Tuesday and Wednesday night at Lucy's Mexican restaurant in Carlsbad and Hobbs, New Mexico. Mine like a steel trap. I can remember these details. It's a Mexican restaurant, right? So the first night, you never know what you're getting into with these gigs, right? Like some of these bookers, they're vultures, right? They've kept a lot of comics. To say alive would be possibly an overstatement if you factor in how many comics probably killed themselves because of the behavior of said bookers also. It's probably a wash. These guys they put together these just notoriously low dollar one-nighters. They pay, it'd be $200 to headline, or like $100 to feature or something, or $50 or whatever. So I remember taking those gigs in New Mexico. It was $250 total for Tuesday and Wednesday night. And I lived in Beaumont at the time, Texas, and Carlsbad and Hobbs were a ways away. Like, a long way. Hey, Google, how far is Carlsbad, New Mexico? She's being so dumb. 648 miles away. Man, that's closer than I thought. Oh, that's from here. Yeah, so tack another 100 and something onto that, because I'm back in dummy little Beaumont. So I got like 700 and something miles to drive. I gotta go straight across Texas. I've never really driven this far before. I'm in my car, but I'm dating this psychopath. It's my 7-year train wreck. I was so happy to get out of the house for 2 days. I can go somewhere and this psychopath isn't going to be there. This is pre-cell phone, so all she could do was like page me. Beep, beep. Couldn't get it. I was in New Mexico. Long distance. Oh, well, so sad. That first night was in Hobbs. And it was so terrible. I didn't have 30 minutes of comedy. Let's start there. I didn't have 30 minutes. I took the gig. I said I had 30 minutes. I'd been doing comedy for about 6 months, I think. Maybe 3. It was so early. So I say yes to this gig. I go out there. I'm trying to figure how I'm going to fill all the time. I think I got it, but I don't have. I have 30 minutes of material, but it's not good. None of it's good. It's god awful. So I meet the headliner the first night. He introduces himself by handing me a note card with an introduction on it. Just long, drawn out. You've seen him on blah, blah, blah. It's so arrogant. This dude might be the reason I just tell just bring me up. I don't need an intro. Just bring me up. This dude had a note card all written out. Make sure you get every word. He had a waxed mustache, cowboy hat. He looked like Howdy Doody. Remember Howdy Doody? Or maybe the 50s. But like a grown-up creepy. He looked like Wario and Howdy Doody had a baby. There you go. That's a perfect description. So he had a bullwhip. And he juggled. And he came out to rawhide. I'm not making any of this up. I know all of this because I sat there. I go up. I do my show. The first night, there are about 12 people there. We are in a low-ceiling Mexican restaurant. When I say Mexican restaurant, I mean there are people crunching on chips and eating tortillas and nachos and tamales. These 12 people are just, and we are interrupting to be. Comedy sometimes can be that, can be ambushy. You'll just be in a bar and suddenly comedy happens. And I, as a veteran comic, I don't even know how to get frustrated in that situation. I try to just avoid that because I want people to pay attention to the artists, but also you can't just drop your art on people's heads when they're having dinner. That's not how life works. Pay attention to me. No, maybe they want to have dinner and communicate with each other instead of listening to you tell your rapey Twitter joke or Tinder joke or whatever hacky thing you're probably rattling. Anyway, it's a Mexican restaurant. These people aren't paying attention. I don't have a watch on, but I do look at the clock before I go up. Spot on top of the hour. And I proceed to these non-listening, nacho smacking people. I do every joke I got. I go through it all. It's awful. I don't know how these people didn't leave. I was raunchy and dirty, and they're just trying to eat refried beans, and it's all terrible, but I did everything I had, and I professionally said goodnight, and then I pulled out the note card, and I proceeded to read Robert York's life history before I introduced him, and then he goes on stage, and as he shakes my hand for the interchange, he pulls me in, and he goes, "Can't do your time, kid." And he lets my hand go. And this is my first road gig. I've never played anywhere but my home club. And like one or two little spots in Houston at the time. I'm shaking, man. What, dude, did I mess up? How bad did I do? Because I'm contractually supposed to do 30 minutes, man. And that's a big deal, right? And my support I've had it happen. I remember Matthew Broussard one night in Paris, Texas. Somebody took a picture and he thought it was the light. Or was that Owen Dunn? And Matthew took the picture of him. Whoever it was featuring for me. And someone took a picture and they thought it was the light. And they said goodnight at like 12 minutes. That's like 18 missing minutes of show. So I thought I had done that. And I come off and I round the corner. And the fat Mexican Lucy lady is, good job, you know. And it wasn't, but she's being very polite. I look at the clock and I did 28 minutes. It was like 28. I was short. But I wasn't short, man. There's some unspoken rules in this game. But I'll tell you this. If you're ever on the road with me, if you're ever on a show with me, and you got a 30-minute spot, yes, hit your 30 minutes. But if you clear the 25-minute mark and you politely and professionally dismount, we're talking about a minute or two, I'm never going to get mad at you. This dude was such a dick. I went back to my hotel that night. I was kind of bothered. I woke up the next morning, drove out to Carlsbad, checked into the motel. Terrible roadside, just terrible motel. I was like, I can't sit in this place. So I went to the caverns. I went out there. I had this little click phone with me, like click camera. Remember you had to manually. You couldn't look at the pictures. So I go through Carlsbad Caverns. I'm all excited, thinking I'm taking pictures of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen in my life because I'd never been anywhere at that point. I definitely never left the country. Got back, got it developed. Every single one of them, just grainy, black, nothingness. I don't know why I thought it would work. But that night, I drove my little car over to Lucy's Mexican restaurant, and I started drinking tequila early. This is a polite me. You guys didn't know 23-year-old, 23-year-ago me. You didn't know that dude half a life ago. I started drinking tequila shots with Fat Mexican Lucy. I think the lady who owned it. She got me the first one. I'm at the bar, and I was such a gregarious young soul. This is me. I'm not old and bitter and jaded, but I'm peopled out. My life is full of all the people I need. Why we got to meet more? But back then, a bit of the life of the party. I had the bar rocking before the show started. I'm hanging out with people that might potentially be at the show. People are actually coming in. This is like their flagship comedy night. I didn't know that. Starting to get busy. I'm riled up. I'm drunk. They start the show. I'm on stage. They start sending tequila. I've been partying with these people now for an hour. I'm hammered. I'm having a good time. They love me. I see old Whiplash come in with his with his bullwhip and his playing cards and his juggling stuff and his cowboy hat. I go on stage. I tore this room apart. How, you ask? Kid with the same material he had the night before? Well, one, I know how to cheerlead. So every time they'd send a shot, this may have been where all that Whiskey Brothers stuff started. Every time they'd send a shot, we'd cheer and we'd do jokes, and then I'd do this and that. I told every joke I had. I did every shot they sent. And then I proceeded to tell every joke I'd ever heard from anyone in the whole world. Ralphie May, my friend. It didn't matter. Whatever. If I'd heard it on A, I didn't give a shit. All I knew was I was going to stay on this stage way longer than 30 minutes. You were not going to get me for going short. You were going to be mad when I came down, but it wasn't going to be the same mad about yesterday. This dude was fuming. I think I did 48 minutes or something, which is, you have no idea. Just as bad as it is for someone to go 18 minutes short, it's just worse for them to go 18 minutes long. That is cutting into your time, the club's energy, the room's energy. But these are drunk Mexican restaurant people on a Wednesday in New Mexico. Robert didn't shake my hand when I brought him off stage that night. He cracked his dumb bullwhip. He did his stupid show. I left. I drove back home. I remember seeing a dead body on the way home on I-10. There was a wreck and a dude. It had just had I was like, oh, I want to talk about that. It's a different story. Remind me about the story on the way back from New Mexico story. Chilling. Ugh. But a couple years later, when I had my club, I remember sitting at the bar and the phone rings and it's a woman and she goes, "Hey, I'm calling to see about getting a comic a week at your club." And I go, "Oh, cool." And she proceeds to describe the act. Well, he's an award-winning this and that, and he's quite a prolific juggler, and he's also a crack with a bullwhip. He's performed in many festivals. I guess bullwhip festivals. There's probably bullwhip festivals. I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least 6 bullwhip festivals in the United States. No questions asked. At least 6. Blah, blah, blah. And I go, "Ma'am," I'm going to stop you. Because at this point, I knew where we were. Not a lot of juggling cowboys in the comedy world. I go, I thought I should let you know that before I settled on Comedy Texas, I almost named this place Robert York will never work here. I go, "Tell him Slade from New Mexico says hello." And then I hung up the phone. I don't know what that dude's doing. I haven't thought of him in 20 years. I should look him up. I bet he's on a cruise ship. Wonder if he's alive. Huh. I don't know. Anyway, that's the road. That's New Mexico. I didn't know we were going there. It's chilly out here, and I like it. I always say I like it. It's only like in the 50s. I don't know. Some of you in Canada right now rolling your stupid frozen eyeballs. Gung gung. I heard them. Sound like a Law and Order scene change. Gung gung. Your stupid frozen eyeballs like grapes. I always say I like it. Oh, I like the weather. Oh, it's so cold. I'm going to do so much. I feel so motivated when it's cold. And I don't. Makes my old ass bones creak. Got me huddled up in a hoodie. All I want to do is stay inside. The minute a cold wind blew in, I don't do all that pumpkin spice crap. I'm not all autumn colors and whatever. Candles and vanilla. That's all lovely. But I'm a sucker for a couple of things. One is a heated blanket. I pull that thing out first chance I get. Turn it on. Huddle up in it. Get all my work done. I like to open the door when it's cold. I like to say I don't like the cold. Then I like to make it cold inside so I can grumble about it and then make it warm and find some sort of equilibrium. I don't know why that works. I could just shut the door and be a normal, happy temperature. But then I wouldn't have worked for it. Something about me likes to think I did something. So somehow if I open the door and then I turn on and I do this and I get it all right and I do like 7 things to get myself back to where I was before I did any of those 7 things, then I somehow feel happier maybe. I don't know how any of this works. I like to open the door. You know my my affinity for baths? You know how I like to soak in a good hot bath unapologetically? During the winter, I wish I had a big ass clawfoot tub outside somewhere. You wait till I make $1 billion. Watch the extravagant white trash stack of railroad car trailer home compound I build It's going to have 47 bedrooms and a clawfoot tub outside. Because what I like to do, the way my house is situated, there's a big living room. And then on this side, there's a hallway and the bathroom. And over here is the front door. And if you open that door, the cold air will blow straight down that hallway and whip into the bathroom. So I'll run a hot-ass bath, and then I'll open that front door. I'll just let my house freeze. I'll sit in that thing like a Japanese monkey, smoke coming off of me, eating clams or whatever. Oh, bliss. I'm over here complaining about 50. It's probably like 40, maybe. Feels like 30-something. Coldest I've ever been. I should go walk around in this and get prepped for Chile. It's gonna be cold down in Patagonia when I get there. I know, because it's just the weather. Does that to me every time. I always end up in places when it's the coldest it's ever been. I was in Indianapolis when they're record-breaking 29 degrees below zero, or 23, or some dumb number that doesn't even feel real. Of course I was there for that. I was in Greenland. It was negative 38 or something. These aren't real temperatures. Canada just lives there. Negative 40 all the time in Ottawa. Do you want to do New Year's? Fuck no. Not coming up here. Whatever bonus you pay me for New Year's, I'm going to have to spend on luggage to bring jackets to live. You can't just wrap up and waddle your ass around like that. That's why these people live underground. Have you been to like the University of whatever it is up in Duluth? Those people just hibernate. They just live underground in tunnels and eat their way to springtime. I don't want to be that. I creak in this weather. Every piece of me creaks and groans. We'll see. I like it. All right, what else is happening? I got so much special news. If you're on the Kickstarter, be excited. There's a lot of stuff coming up. I think you guys are going to get a sneak peek of the whole special this month. We just shot the intro. Chef kiss to Adam and Rob, my director, producer friends. They, I can't wait for you to see what I did. I keep watching. I've had to watch so many specials. I talk about it all the time. Today, in fact, yesterday for you guys watching this when it comes out, my Ralph Barbosa on Netflix. If you get a chance, go to Netflix, look up Ralph Barbosa Cowabunga. A very funny, very deserving kid, and the specialist. He's just it's a laid back, clever, well written bunch of comedy, and go watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. Ralph Barbosa. I am excited to show you what we got. I'm gonna hold off on all of it. I was gonna maybe give a little sneak peek. I don't think tonight's the night. I think I'm gonna stretch. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna let this cold sink into my bones, and then I'm gonna run me a hot Halloween bath, and I'm gonna crawl in that thing, and I'm just gonna steam like a dumpling. That's my plan. It's you can disembark the Midnight Spaceship at any time. January 10th, go see me. Sign up for my newsletter. It comes out every other week. If you go to sladeham.com, there's a pop-up that lets you enter it. It's just your email address. I don't send spam. I really just kind of hook you up with stuff, and it's clever, motivational, and good for you. At least 6 out of 5 doctors approve. I'm Slade Ham. This is the Slade Ham Experiment. Thank you for riding. Unbuckle your seatbelt. Leave all trash in the seat. Park it in front of you, and we'll see you on another ride soon.